And welcome back, everybody, to the Victory Road World Cup of VGC, sponsored by Elgato, GG Tour, and Metafi. And this time, I'm joined by the wonderful Connor Johnston. How are you doing?
I'm doing quite good, David. It's great to be back on screen with you. We have quite a long history casting together. So hopefully, Victory Road is a nice new path to go down and we can see where it takes us.
And I'm very pleased to be on that journey with you, Connor. And however, we do have a very interesting match coming up this time. So this time we've got Sweden versus Turkey. Victor Larsson versus Efe Kalfaoğlu. And I very apologize if I've messed that up, but we'll try and do our best here, and feel free to try and correct me if you can. So Victor Larsson on the left here has a couple of accolades there: 2020 Players Cup to EU qualifier top 8 and the 2020 Victory Road to European Cup finalists. So some very nice picks there, and in the Sword and Shield format too.
Yeah, having those names and those places in the Sword and Shield format is very nice to have because it's been fairly different what we've had in the past. Of course, you've had like the Dynamax has just changed the game completely. And then, of course, FA, a game that we had in that game one when I was casting hasn't got those finishes, but possibly coming in with a competitive format like a lot of new players did in Sword and Shield, going to be coming in straight with those Dynamax, so going to know all the like different techniques straight away. And I got a little stuttered there because of how creative the team is for FA compared to the very original, like the very not really original, but a team you can mix and match a lot from Victor.
Yeah, indeed. So we've got on FA's side like 5 Pokemon that can use Trick Room and a Follow Me user. So maybe it's on Victor's end to kind of be like, right, what do I lead into like Indeedee plus anything? So and Victor's end definitely is a bit more of that hyper offense kind of end. So you can like lead that Calyrex into the opposing Calyrex. You might want to lead Regieleki into the Palkia or something. So both players have a lot of like lead options versus each other, and they're both really interesting teams and potentially all very kind of like original and new, and not something we've really seen a lot of in the last few weeks.
Yeah, hopefully it's something that's fresh. Of course, we did see Hyper Offense. It did come second at a regional quite recently, and we've had a couple placements here, there, in NAIC. If we, go straight into the game, we see one of those Trick Room users plus Follow Me. I say one of those, it was guaranteed to be a Trick Room user plus Follow Me in front of the opposing Indeedee and the Calyrex. So Indeedee is looking quite safe in front of this Calyrex because he's not going to take any damage from after Barrage. So it's going to be down to Palkia to kind of work out what's going to happen there. If it goes to Trick Room, it could get it up. If not, if you get some big damage on what is a fairly fragile restrict on the opposing side, we could just see follow me, attack, attack. This could be a long run game here, but we'll see if our players maybe think something different to catch their opponents off guard.
Yeah, so it makes sense that Palkia is the lead here. I mean, there's no play rough dashing on Victor's end, so it's likely going to live any attack that this Calyrex can shoot out. So there is a potential for the imprisoned Trick Room. It's interesting as to whether like FA might like see this coming, or it might just be like, right, if you've got it, fair play, but I'm just going to go for my Follow Me Trick Room. So that's probably what we'll see from FA's end, and Victor is going to be on the offense trying to go for something big. But FA does go on the defensive here, actually, and switches in his Porygon 2, and that is probably going to take a Ghost-type attack pretty well.
Yeah, both these Pokemon now are taking nothing from aggressive attack. The Expanding Force, taking advantage of the Psychic Terrain, doing a lot of damage with that Choice Specs, about 50% to Porygon 2. Mystical Fire coming out, though, from FA. He's going to drop the special attack stat on that Calyrex. It has a naturally high one, and it's got those Choice Specs we saw for a glimpse there. So it could be a situation where that could be a nice little roll, but a second Expanding Force coming out. Indeedee not doing as much damage, just doing a little bit of a mini helping hand there. But, getting the ball rolling, and Porygon 2 is really under threat, and Indeedee can't redirect this with it being locked into that Expanding Force, so having to chip away where it can.
Yeah, thanks to that Choice Specs, that is doing so much damage to FA's team. And I mean, if he'd like led the Porygon 2, then as we can see, it lives the double up, so it would have been able to get the Trick Room here. But because it's the switch in here, it's not now obviously not got the health to be able to get up that following Trick Room. So FA's really on the back foot here, and there's nothing stopping Victor just going for the same moves.
Yeah, Victor has that repetition. It's what Hyper Defense does best. The Porygon going down, a very bulky Pokemon, thwarted in the space of a turn or two. And the Indeedee is just sitting there in front of now what is, well, it's a neutral Calyrex now. So maybe just going to keep going for Mystical Fires. So a little back and forth, getting rid of those stat boosts. But also chipping away at Calyrex. It isn't the bulkiest. And you don't really see Indeedee do that much damage often. As the opposing Indeedee does come in here and fails to get a knockout, but probably puts it in range for Calyrex, given there's no shenanigans coming out, maybe even a follow me, just to redirect anything once train actually can't even max train still going. I'm getting too ahead of myself because this is just such a fast-paced match here compared to the ones we've had here earlier on this World Cup stream. I have to see what FA does now because Palkia is really, really, at threat from a possible strong Psychic Drain again. Psychic Expanding Force, sorry.
As Victor's kindly demonstrated for us there, we've got the reminder that this Calyrex is now at -1 special attack, as opposed to the turn 1 when it was obviously at neutral. So Palkia may be able to live the hit this time. So it's still an Expanding Force, and it's still in Psychic Terrain from a Calyrex Shadow. So it's going to be still very strong, but chances are this Palkia is going to be bulky enough, and so it looks like FA's putting all the eggs into his one basket, and he's going to be like, right, if I live this, I get it off. If I don't, GG's for game 1. But here we go. Expanding Force into the Palkia. Let's see how much it does. It's just over 50%, so I don't think Indeedee's going to be able to pick that up. So it looks like Trick Room is going to go up here.
Yeah, Trick Room going up is very good for FA, given him what he might have in the back, and that'll be very good because it could reposition what this fast-paced team has. Sometimes you'll have like a Life Orb or a Shadow Tag, I believe that is the Spell Tag, sorry, on the Calyrex, so it can go for its own Trick Room or maybe even an Imprison to stop that sort of stuff from happening. But being Choice Specs, it can't do that, and Palkia's now sync up it. It can Dynamax, it can get some big damage down, but Indeedee can still redirect it. So I think Victor still has that slight upper hand, given how low the HP is. We'll to see if FA can read through that and has the damage to completely thwart this Indeedee in the next coming turns.
Yeah, the thing is, Palkia, unlike Groudon or Kyogre or Calyrex Ice, it doesn't really have any spread type attacks, so it can't cover the Indeedee and the Calyrex Shadow at the same time here. And so going for the move that's into the big threat, the Calyrex Shadow, Indeedee can just follow me away at the moment. And Palkia's on such low health, any attack is going to potentially take it out here. But FA does go for the Dynamax, and it's actually the max guard that we see to be able to take any potential hit that Victor comes out with. It is the follow me to be able to direct the attack, and let's see what this FA's Indeedee goes for. It is the Mystical Fire into Indeedee, dropping the special attack a little bit more, but Victor is likely going to be in a very similar position going into the next turn.
Yeah, Victor, is going for that back and forth. Indeedee does drop, so that is particularly a free switch with that, that little crit just for a little bit of salt there, but it doesn't really matter. And that free switch, can come in, and that could shift the game completely. We could see maybe the debut of the Alone Executor, which could maybe have some sleep shenanigans going with it, or it can do some big damage. But the Calyrex comes in, so both Calyrexes facing each other down, Ice versus Ghost, to see where it comes from, because this Calyrex, being a strong Pokemon, could just get a nice double boost from the Glacial Lance if the Palkia can support it well enough.
Yeah, depending on the training of this Calyrex, I would say it's probably enough to be able to pick off this Calyrex Shadow with a Glacial Lance, so you can get obviously around for Follow Me. So FA needs to make the most of his Trick Room turns at the moment, because he's probably only got 3 left, and that's 3 turns that Victor needs to be able to stall out too, which is obviously a little bit harder when you've got a Specs Calyrex Shadow, and we can still get to see if there's a Protect on this Indeedee to be able to stall things out too. But I like the switch in from Victor. The Kyogre, it is the Water type, is going to be able to take a lot of these attacks very well, and with that big special defense, Palkia's hits aren't going to do too much either. And there is the Protect on the Indeedee too, so a Glacial Lance is not going to do too much going into this turn.
Yeah, going to this turn, Glacial Lance is going to be hitting nicely into that lower defense, or the natural defense I should say, of the Kyogre, so it's going to take a nice little chunk there. And if Palkia goes for a Max Dragon, that is going to be a lot. The Max Quake, though, coming out, so it's going to be a nice little special defense boost for that Calyrex going into later turns, because a lot of the Pokemon are specially attacking on Victor's side, which if there's enough Max Quake boosts going up and up and up, that'll be a very good benefit. Of course, the Choice Specs might mitigate that a little bit, and maybe a nice crit or a nice high roll will get these Pokemon knocked out. But now Victor has to work through those, and FA knows comfortably I can possibly take hits. Maybe they've done their calcs, and maybe they know that the +2 or the +1 is enough to just take the pace a bit better and look at these Specs Mons, these strong push attacking Mons, and just let them sit there while you damage away with your slow Trick Room Pokemon.
Yeah, Calyrex Ice, normally with the normal bout of bulk, is to be able to take a neutral Astral Barrage. So with a +1 special defense, that should allow it to be able to take the Specs Astral Barrage from Victor's Calyrex Shadow too. So Victor's win condition is he needs to get a little bit of chip onto this Calyrex Ice, and then once Trick Room has expired, he can get his Calyrex Shadow in and then just sweep. So, and a good way to do that is to Dynamax your already quite bulky Kyogre, give it double HP, and just fire off a move into that slot. And then hopefully you stall out the rest of these Trick Room turns. So Indeedee goes for the Follow Me. It's going to take any of those single target types straight away from Kyogre so it can live. Glacial Lance comes out. Is it enough to KO Indeedee? It's not quite. So Kyogre's going to be able to avoid this Max Quake from Palkia. And Victor still has 3 Pokemon in the back that he can bring in too. So Calyrex Shadow is looking pretty nice in this endgame.
Yeah, it's looking very good once that Trick Room goes down. Arguably, you could say that Indeedee going down to Max Quake isn't the worst thing, because regardless, you're getting that special defense boost, but it is also a free switch in on that side. And Kyogre, too many water types going out, and that does a lot of damage, even for his Max Quake boost. That wasn't even the crit, showing how powerful it is with that rain and with a possible Mystic Water. You just see Regieleki coming in here. It doesn't like Trick Room all that much, and wouldn't like a Max Quake all that much either now that Indeedee's gone. But of course, we do see Dynamax go down, so a possible Earth Power to that slot, while taking advantage of the rain as well. So let's see if FA calls any Protect Ray or just gets a lot of damage down. We could see one of these Pokemon going down, I feel.
I think so. So yeah, Calyrex is just like itching to get in here once that Trick Room's expired. And at this point, being game 1, it's just good for both players to get a lot of information about each other's teams. So I think FA's definitely realized it's the Choice Specs Calyrex Shadow on there, just based on how much damage it has been doing to everything, especially that Porygon 2 wasn't switching up moves at all. He knows there's the Protect on Indeedee, and he now knows as well that there is a status move of some sort on the Kyogre 2, so not that Assault Vest or maybe even a Choice Scarf. So instead it's the Electro Web from the Regieleki, being able to lower the speeds of these 2 Pokemon, just in case there was any doubt that Calyrex Shadow was going to outspeed these in the endgame. But Trick Room is actually going to be going up again. Oh, sorry, returning to normal here. It is actually the double Trick Room from FA's end. I thought this Trick Room was still up, but then, yeah, an excellent play from FA. So another 5 rounds of it, but can Victor sort it out?
Yeah, just seeing that, I believe that's a double Protect going into the double Trick Room. It is something you see quite often from Trick Room players who know the state of the field and know, oh, I can get around this. With their special defense boosts, that is something we really enjoy seeing. So Victor has to think, can I take very little damage and get the rolls going? Will I take all this damage from the attacks? Glacial Lance coming out, gets a knockout on that Regieleki, so possibly no knockout onto that Palkia if Palkia can get enough damage to take down this Kyogre. But of course, Kyogre has shown it does a lot of damage to the Calyrex. In return, Earth Power doesn't do enough, unfortunately, and that leaves the Max guys just to come out and just take out whoever it pleases on this side of the field. Calyrex is going down, and that means that, one of those Pokemon do come in, but that is another Pokemon down where Hyper Defense likes to be working, because its form of a switch, its form of Protect is letting all these Pokemon go down. And Calyrex Shadow doesn't like Trick Room all that much, but some good pivotal play, maybe, a low roll or whatever, could grab it, the lead in the game. But FA seems to have the control of the field right now, as Kyogre does go small, which does also access it to its Water Spouts and to its Origin Pulses.
Yeah, so I imagine Victor maybe wasn't expecting the double Trick Room play there. I imagine when his Kyogre lived that here, he breathed a sigh of relief. So Palkia not having access to spreader type attacks, unless it decides to run that Surf, is not going to be able to take this here. Victor just needs to hit a couple of moves into this final turn, but it is going to be Palkia first. So there's that Spatial Rend into the Calyrex, which he knows can't protect thanks to that Choice Specs. It does go down. Kyogre needs to hit this move here. Victor is going to go for that Ice Beam. And even despite those special defense boosts, Palkia is able to go down, and Victor Larsson is winning game 1.
Yeah, Victor taking game 1, despite that pivotal double Trick Room play, is something that, Hyper Defense shows it can take those steps ahead. Like I said, it does damage for its Protects, it does damage for its Switches. If something goes down, so what? Something as powerful comes back in its place. And Trick Room doesn't really threaten it, because if you can't knock out a Trick Room Pokemon, you just play and play and play until something goes. So really well played there, and I think both players can come out of this going, okay, this didn't work in game 1, This did happen in game 1. Let's see how I can change the game state, try and make it more advantageous to me, whether that be an earlier Trick Room or just an earlier spread of damage to get rid of things that can be a threat in Trick Room there on Victor's side.
And I think what FA might be like thinking is that like he didn't have a lot of damage output for the Kyogre, right? Even when he had Trick Room up. So I think he's going to be looking towards his team to see, right, oh, what could damage Kyogre a little bit more here? And I'm like looking straight at that Alolan Executor. So if that thing had been able to come in and like dish out a lot of grass type damage, and then it's got the dragon type damage or like Max Wormins to lower physical threats as well. It's looking like it could be a nice option, assuming it like lives an ice move when it's Dynamaxed. And it also offers that Trick Room, potential double Trick Room play right at the end there to reset. So that's what I'd like to see. But we do see a switch off the lead. Doesn't mean there's no Alolan Executor in the back. But I quite like it here. It gives 2 Trick Room options and likely an option that can get one up too.
Yeah, showing that you have the possibility to just get that Trick Room up does put a lot of pressure on Victor. We have seen how much damage this Porygon takes from the Expanding Force, but even if so, we know Palkia didn't take too much either, and Indeedee isn't doing it as much. I can't recall if Indeedee had Helping Hand, which could be a very nice play in this turn, if it does, it can get that damage boost. Unfortunately, tracing the Psychic Train would have been lovely to see a Chilling Neigh Porygon 2, because that would have been, very awkward, to get round, unless it traces the both abilities. I can't remember how it works there, but that is something our players to calculate later down the line, and possibly chat if they're watching long can know. But Victor again hovering over that Expanding Force, just thinking, what can I do? I can go for the same play, try and get a knockout. If not, they get a Trick Room up, and that is a turn 1 Trick Room, which can be scary, as you've seen for Victor in the late game.
Yeah, Trace can't copy the double abilities of the Calyrexes, unfortunately, because otherwise, yes, that would be pretty awesome. But Calyrex Ice is the one to switch in here straight away. FA looks like he's very confident that his Trick Room's going to go up on this Porygon 2, which I think I would be too. So, but Victor's going to get off a lot of damage before it does go up, and let's 60% to the Porygon 2, which is so much. Indeed, he follows up with Expanding Force as well. But I think Porygon 2 is just going to hang on here, and Calyrex ends up taking not too much damage, and crucially now has a full 4 turns of Trick Room to make use of it. It's already on the field, and it's got a spread type moves, and it's going to be able to hit pretty hard.
Yeah, having that, that go through the Trick Room and the Porygon living on a sliver is scary for Victor and amazing for FA. We can see the Glacial Lance go through, and I believe only Indeedee can protect, but Indeedee protecting isn't much when one of your strong attackers is going down. Porygon 2 sometimes opt to carry Shadow Ball or Foul Play to try and target down, physical attackers or possible Lunala or Calyrex. So that is something that, that Victor could be careful of, and FA could take advantage of. And no matter what switches in, that is still damage that is chipping away for the Calyrex to then get more damage on. So it's just so beneficial there, and the game state is one where players, again, are having to think really hard, try and either reverse it or just take advantage where it is. As Kyogre comes in, and it's going to do a lot of spread damage if it doesn't offer Dynamax, which can be scary for FA, but you can possibly take advantage of this as Calyrex goes for Protect, playing it cool, and we could possibly see that, as mentioned, Foul Play or Shadow Ball into what is now the Kyogre slot.
It's an interesting Protect play here, possibly FA thinking that, or not like knowing yet if Calyrex Shadow is X or not, and fearing the Astral Barrage there. Otherwise, you don't have too much to fear there, really. Porygon 2 is able to get the recover off pretty freely, which does allow it to stick around a little bit longer. Now, we haven't seen the item on this Calyrex Ice, and if it is that weakness policy, and if it does, if Porygon 2 does underspeed it, we often see Foul Play plus weakness policy combination. I think because Calyrex is only at neutral attack, actually, Foul Play could do a lot of damage here. So, if you're going to go for that player, I'd like to see maybe Calyrex go for Dynamax. Maybe go for a Max Play, can select the Kyogre, and indeed you get the special defense boost, and then you lift Kyogre, so it's a lot better too. You still have a few Trick Room turns to make use of, and you can keep going for those quick boosts and make sure that you can take the hits of predominantly special attackers here. But yes, Connor, look at who's coming.
The Executor has come onto the field, and if we see a Max Ice into that slot, that's a great call, into especially an unusual Pokemon as usual switch in. I don't think Victor's going to go straight for that. Like I said, it is unusual. And, it has possibly got Sleep Powder. it has access to strong grass type moves. It can be physical. It can be special. And Porygon 2 can, you know, really do anything it wants. But so does his Indeedee, as it can just say, you got a nice strong grass type move. I've got a nice strong follow me. As Recover comes out from the Porygon 2, just making sure it has as much HP as possible to possibly take what could be a Max Geyser. So well played there by FA, as the Geyser does come out, so no really good predictions there going into it, but Executor doesn't take it all too well, but well enough that it is considerable that FA can keep it on the field. Although, unfortunately, like I said, the Indeedee is going to be going for possible follow me's, meaning that Kyogre has the ability to just knock it out with a 4 times effective Max Hailstorm, meaning that our very favourite Pokemon of this match is going to be going possibly very soon after it comes in.
Yeah, I'd definitely like to see FA like stay in with the Calyrex Ice and make kind of use of the Trick Room turns here. Maybe switching in the Executor from the Porygon 2 slot as well, because that would have maybe taken the Max Geyser instead. But we've actually seen the Sleep Powder coming out instead. Nice and slow in that Trick Room, getting the land on the Indeedee, and the Foul Play goes into it as well, getting that little bit of chip damage. So I like FA not really committing the Executor to the Dynamax here, because he knows the Hailstorm's going to come out. And that does mean Calyrex Ice is able to get in and target down this Kyogre directly without those Follow Me shenanigans, at least for the next few turns.
Yeah, getting rid of Follow Me is really good, because it means that he can Dynamax freely and get some nice big damage off, whether that be Max Quakes to get the special defense boost, or just some nice strong Max Ices to try and get those attack boosts as quick as possible with the stab moves. And it also means that Porygon 2 can easily go for like an Eerie Impulse into the Kyogre if it carries it, or it can just, you know, go for some nice Foul Blades with chip damage, as Palkia does come in, so we could see the play of the Max Quakes just to get the death boost and damage down on the Kyogre. But will it be enough, you know, to take the rest of the game? Because, like, as before, it is a back and forth of Pokemon. Victor has the advantage, and Victor has a Pokemon that's not taking too much damage from his moves, despite being hyper offensive.
Now, it is the last turn of Trick Room here, and we know what happened last time. FA went for the double Trick Room play, and that's definitely something he could do here too. The rain isn't up, so Porygon 2 is definitely going to be living any hit that Victor wants to go for on his Kyogre, and that would allow FA to be able to set up the Trick Room pretty nicely. And this may be the opportunity to do it, because otherwise Victor might be able to position, get his Calyrex in maybe next turn for the Indeedee, and be able to stop the Trick Room that way instead. So this could be the time for him to go for it. Get a fresh few turns of Trick Room, have another go at getting that Kalay Ice into the position that he wants to be able to take this down, and potentially even in an even better position, because the Kyogre won't be Dynamax anymore. However, we see the Dynamax instead. FA is going for the Dynamax Palkia for this last turn of Trick Room to be able to actually get a few boosts. Maybe even that Max Quake onto the Porygon 2 make it even harder to knock out.
Yeah, getting that Max Quake down, if it was and that Regieleki coming in, it would be great. Although the Ally Switch coming through, so any possible damage going into that Porygon 2 to the Max Geyser will be doing, you know, even less because it's going to Palkia. Max Quake goes into the Kyogre though, so not the best call in the world, possibly opting just to get damage down, going through the mindset of once it goes small, it's forced to go so it's less accurate Origin Pulses, and then Regieleki comes in nice and safe. The Max Geyser does come out though, and if that goes into what is now the Palkia, it's going to do very minimal damage, just does mere damage. Trick Room is going to go down though, so Regieleki is going to be able to flourish in front of a Pokemon that has a partial water typing, which means it isn't going to be taking the least damage from it, or the most damage from it, but it's still enough that have a threatening aura, as so does Kyogre Small. She has access to those spread moves to an Ice Beam to really try and threaten this Palkia with as much damage as possible.
Yeah, so we've seen 3 moves from this Porygon 2. We've seen the Ally Switch, we've seen the Recover, we've seen the Trick Room, and we've seen the Foul Play. So we have seen all 4 of its moves now. So there's no kind of way like Eerie Impulse to like reduce damage reduction, but Palkia has got a crucial special defense boost on this Porygon 2, so it's going to be able to take the hits from Victor's Kyogre a lot better. We've seen the sneak preview of what maybe this Regieleki has. It's not special, it is that physical, but it does a good chunk of damage though. I want to see if like the +1 special defense is enough to be able to lift this Mystic Water Spout, and it is. So it looks like another Trick Room is going to go up here, and Palkia's just going to keep going with those Max Quake boosts, taking down that Regieleki, boosting even further up, and there's only like special attackers in the back for Victor, so FA is actually looking in a really decent spot now, thanks to this Dynamax Palkia.
Yeah, Dynamax Palkia putting in a lot more work than Game 1, and with the physical attacker gone, it means that all those Pokemon are going to be taking even less damage. And with the Trick Room up as well, Porygon 2 can freely just click its recover in front of these Pokemon. Calyrex is essentially forced into its expanding force, or one of the other moves it has, I believe it has Pollen Puff as well, which is good if you got a side target, because you can go back and forth if your health goes yourself. But that's then another turn wasted where you're having to side target yourself and using those less stab moves. So FA really beneficial from that. Of course, you know, he just got to play his Trick Room turns really well. Hoping Didi doesn't wake up to stop those follow me's. Could see a Max Dragon go out, because no matter what slot that hits, it's going to be a lot of damage. So it's just down to how well that goes, and, you know, Lady Luck with these sleep turns.
Indeed. So I'm not sure if Didi's like taken many sleep turns at all, actually. Maybe like one maximum. So the chances are it's probably not going to wake up this turn. So there's not a lot to protect this Kyogre, except for it self-protecting. But yeah, and Didi does take it another turn of sleep here. And now it's on FA to be able to go for more moves this turn. Yep, so that recovers pretty safe. Recovering that Porygon up to a really decent amount of health. And any more chip onto this Kyogre is going to reduce that damage from the Water Spout. Plus even more special defense boost. So FA setting himself up really nicely here. And he's got the Trick Room up. So I think it's on Victor's end now to be looking some critical hits, I'd say, to be able to break through FA's bulk at the moment.
Well, let's hope for the case of FA that we don't have a little bit of commentator's curse there, David, because we are seeing the Pokemon go small, being more susceptible to damage from those crits. We saw how little Palkia took. I did think I even saw that HP bar go down. And, you know, Kyogre is stuck in a position where if it switches, you know, that's a foul play that could be going to that slot to get rid of the Calyrex. If not, Palkia can attack into it too. Indeed, he has to wake up and possibly get that follow me. Even if not, indeed he can go down. And FA is positioned out so well that no matter what Pokemon switches, no matter what Pokemon uses what move, it is going to be knocked out or put in a position where it can be knocked out the turn after, or where its HP to damage ratio is just minimal. Indeed, he does wake up and gets that protect, so possibly pivotal for FA, unless he goes into that attacking Kyogre. Kyogre protects as well, dwindling down those Trick Room turns, so possibly a recover from P2. A great call there from FA, getting that HP back, meaning another turn for it to get that health back, and Kyogre has to do more and more damage to it. A Spatial Rend, unfortunately, goes into your protect there.
So FA is like in just a really solid position at the moment with just all this bulk and all this health. He's got the speed control he wants at the moment too, so he's kind of in the position where he doesn't really need to play risky at the moment, and it's on Victor to kind of switch around position as much as he can to be able to stall out the rest of this Trick Room. But even then, once he gets into position, he's still not going to be able to take the knockouts that he could have at the start of this game. So indeed, he does end up going for the Follow Me to redirect this foul play. It's not going to take too much damage at all. Palkia is going to be moving next, and it is that Spatial Rend. So I don't believe we've seen the item yet on this Palkia. So potentially like a Lustrous Orb or something that boosts the damage output a bit, because we haven't seen a Life Orb yet. Kyogre does go for the Origin Pulse. Kind of just covers the ally switch, but yeah, no critical hit there. Porygon 2 is taking that just so well, and the rain has stopped here too, so that is not going back up now that Victor's down to his last two Pokemon.
Yeah, being his last two Pokemon, FA must be rubbing his hands going into this game 3 against quite a well-established player in the Swedish and essentially worldwide VGC community. And, you know, taking it against Hyper Friends as well, a team that, you know, can go one or two ways against Trick Room. And all he has to do is just click the right combination of moves. He has to get it right. You know, foul play, you can't protect on Calyrex, so that's going to be a lot of damage. Even though it's got a low attacking stat, it's 4 times effective. And Palkia has to call which one, you know, whether the Kyogre protects or the double into the Calyrex. That's still fearful that Kyogre could get a crit or a freeze, which could change the flow of the game, because then it'll essentially be one Pokemon, you know, switching out between the slots for a turn there. So, you know, mind games going on for all players. The foul play coming out, it'll do a lot of damage, not enough to get a knockout. We could see a double up knowing it can't protect. Palkia going with that Spatial Rend, just guaranteeing it is gone, and Kyogre is on the field by itself. And David, I think FA is taking that game. We're going to a game 3 for one of Turkey's first ever stream matches of the World Cup.
It's exactly, yeah. So, and it's a win for Executor as well, which is very cool. He's Executor like last year as well. It was very cool. And as we've seen, like, it wasn't throwing out all those big attacks. It was just the slow Sleep Powder that was really interesting that just shut down Victor's main way of kind of like stalling out Trick Room, which is just redirecting all those attacks away from his other Pokemon. So as soon as you shut that down, everything is just like left open to be able to get hit very hard once Trick Room's up. So another Origin Pulse into these two Pokemon, not doing a whole lot, and it's just about Palkia getting the rest of its attacks off to be able to close out this game. Fisher Wren does miss, so Kalfaoğlu hangs around for another turn, but I think it's still the ice in the back as well to be able to dish out even more damage. So it's looking like a game 3 here at the moment, Connor, and it's going to be on Victor maybe to be able to adjust something that actually deals with this Porygon 2.
Yeah, adjusting to the Porygon 2 is something that will be questioned for Game 3, but Porygon 2 is such a bulky Pokemon and such a well-utilized Pokemon that whether it comes in early, late, switch in, as an ally switch, it's going to take those hits and it's going to be a nuisance on the field. As we see here, albeit it has a +3 special defense boost, it is being annoying to knock out. Special Rend does hit this time, and that is going to put us into a game position, and Victor will have to be on the back foot thinking, okay, I lost to the Trick Room now. He knows what a lot of the Pokemon do now. We haven't seen the Hatterene, but Hatterene is fairly bread and butter on most teams. Has its Fairy move, has its Psychic move, can confuse things, can do big damage. And it just comes down to the last 2 slots what it has. So Victor has to think through so many possibilities because so many Trick Room users are on this team.
Exactly, and the Porygon 2 is very set in its ways at the moment. It just sits there, it takes the hits even from like Choice Specs, Calyrex Ice, double expanding force, it just like lives so much. So I'm definitely looking at Victor's team to see like kind of what options he might have to be able to deal with it here. And it's either like being able to play around the Trick Room better, so kind of prioritizing your Indeedee, keeping it safe from the Sleep Powders, maybe setting up an Electric Terrain with the Regieleki or something. And maybe bringing in that Whimsicott. We haven't really seen what that Whimsicott can do, but versus an opposing Indeedee, he probably doesn't like want to bring it there because you can't go for switcheroos or taunts or potentially what it might have there. But as we saw in that game, there was no Indeedee on FA's end. So that might be something that we can bring out here because it's a very nice option into Palkia. It resists Max Wake, it resists Max Geyser, and it resists Max Wormwind very well. So that might be the change up that I think I'd like to see. It's going to be sort of a hard call that needs to be done, but there is that Porygon 2 on FA's end. Can Victor find a way to be able to break this Porygon 2 and get rid of it before it starts getting up those boosts and setting up those Trick Rooms?
That is a very effective case, and I see FA is playing a couple little mind games from this great game, turn 1, because Victor could go, okay, I can just go for a really strong Astral Barrage with the Choice Specs and the Stab and the super effectiveness. It's probably going to knock out this Calyrex, maybe a sliver of HP left if it's, a slightly bulkier build. But that leaves Porygon 2 untouched, and Porygon 2 can just go for Trick Room, and Palkia can come in, or Executor can come in, we can see big damage or a lot of sleep turns. But on the other hand, if he's forced to go to that Expanding Force because of the same mind game thinking in reverse, Calyrex is going to take that, and Trick Room can go up, a Dynamax can go off, and that is going to be scary. So Victor is having to think, as we see him hovering over the Dynamax, maybe that hits his only out to just get as much damage down on Ivy's Pokemon, but one of them could possibly get the Trick Room up, and that is what is so scary about these double Trick Room leads. And what we thought was just Follow Me plus Trick Room is a scary, everything can Trick Room, everything can get Trick Room, and it will get Trick Room. So see how will I take this Kyogre plus Calyrex hit in this first turn.
Yeah, Kyogre is going for the Dynamax, so it's going for as much damage as it can in this game. It'd be interesting to see what FA does here, because you could go for Trick Room on either Pokemon at the moment, and assuming one Pokemon goes down, or all eggs in one basket like previously, he's going for the Trick Room on the Porygon 2. But it is the Choice Specs Expanding Force. It's not in the Sky Terrain, but it's doing a whole lot of damage, and the Max Geyser is enough to be able to pick up this Porygon 2. Yeah, definitely, with that Mystic Water. So an excellent play by Victor. He puts all his eggs in one basket, and it is the basket of dreams because he's just taken down that Porygon 2, and Calyrex Ice just sits there doing pretty much nothing. Victor is now locked into the Expanding Force, so it's not going to be doing a load to Calyrex. So FA is in the position where he might be able to Dynamax his Calyrex, maybe live an extra hit on Palkia if he can take a double up. So it's not all on here, but for a turn 1, it's pretty strong for Victor.
Yeah, Victor, getting rid of all the trick room options is just the most powerful move he can go for in this matchup, because that is what Hyper Defense does a lot. If it hasn't got Torn, then it will just remove the threat. Of course, Calyrex can go for a trick room, Palkia can go for a trick room, either of these Pokemon can Dynamax. They both have access to Max Quake, which can be very annoying for this heavily special attacking team. But that is also meaning that one of these Pokemon is staying small, and it is going to be taking a lot of damage from these attacks. Calyrex is switching out. We could see the Executor come in. It does come back in. Executor is going to take a max Geyser really nicely given its typing. Expanding Force could make those calculations a bit of a roll though. Palkia taking that with very little bulk, the crit, everything went on there. And then the Max Geyser, if that's a double up, that can be a nice little knockout. It isn't. It goes in Executor. Executor again, taking comfortable damage, but will it be enough for later down the line? The Trick Room will go off though on the Palkia, meaning that this Executor can throw out Sleep. It can Dynamax, it can possibly knock out Kyogre if it's strong enough, and FA is in that scary position again where Trick Room takes the game.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate critical hit for FA there, because like Palkia was probably looking like a really decent Dynamax option here. Like, you Sleep Powder one shot with the Executor, and then you get a hit off with the Palkia, maybe get some Quake boosts on something, and go from there. And like likely with the Dynamax hit, you can like knock out the Calyrex Shadow in one, and assuming you land the Sleep Powder on Kyogre. Now it's looking a little bit precarious. I mean, you can still go for the same play, but Palkia is on very low health now, and is likely in with just one attack range of like getting KO'd here. So it's a bit precarious for FA, but he does have 4 turns of Trick Room to make use of, and he has the Calyrex Ice, the Palkia, and the Executor. So there's a lot of offense still that he can like throw out here. It's just on Victor now to potentially sort it out, and indeed he's a good Pokemon to do that with. But it is the Dynamax now, Connor, and I'm curious as to which one it is.
Yeah, as I said, both these Pokemon are open to Dynamax. As we see the Palkia go, so no off-the-screen Executor for us today. It would have been lovely to see if we got it off, but that does also mean that it can threaten the Sleep Powders. Palkia feels somewhat wasted with how low HP it has, but FA knows that he might not take those Max Ices to Sleep Powder misses, which it doesn't. Executor might be lasting around for a couple more turns. The Max Quake comes out, getting a special defense boost. Probably not the best in the world. We see a turn 1 Wake, and of course Commentator's Curse there. But turn 1 Wake, Max Hailstorm's still going to get a knockout onto the Executor, even with the special defense boost. But it does give Executor a couple more turns to Sleep Powder things, possibly Grass Knot things if it carries out Leaf Storm. It has loads of options, going for it. Let's to see what it goes. Maybe it picks up a KO on this Kyogre and turns the flow of the game yet again in FA's favor.
It's actually really interesting to see the Max Quake there instead of like something like the Max Dragon or like a Max Geyser, because like those are probably going to knock out the Calyrex Shadow, but a Max Quake and it's not Life Orb, that's probably not actually going to knock out the Calyrex there. So actually Victor just stayed in and like expanding force the Palkia, it was probably going to go down. I mean, like, the Max Quake special F boost might have, like, just about made the difference, but I don't know, it would have been close. But instead, like, he does catch the NDDN, gets special defense boost, and that's exactly what he wants in the end game on everything to be able to stall out the special attackers on Victor's end. The Sleep Powder does land, which is very fortunate, and it's another turn of Trick Room for FA to be able to dish out some hits. So, indeed, he does go for the Protect. Charizard is the switch in for Victor, so maybe hoping to catch the Max Quake and a Grass move too. So Charizard is a pretty defensive switch in right now, and it's physical Executor, by the way. And Max Quake does not go into Charizard, though. And so more special defense boosts do come out, which is pretty nice for FA.
Yeah, FA getting a special defense boost in front of Charizard as well. Meaning, like, a Heat Wave or a Blast Burn, if it goes into every Pokemon, it's going to do even less damage because of the rain too. So his Pokemon are sitting around more. We did see the Lumberry on the Charizard, so if FA knows how to research this, he should know most hyper-offensive ones are opting to go for a Lumberry over the Life Orb or Charty Berry, just because Sleep and Paralysis is so common going as a counter into these teams. So it could possibly, just go for sheer damage, maybe a Max Guys into that slot, and then target down Sleep on the Indeedee, taking a switch. There's so many options here, and that's what these Trick Room teams like to do. So Indeedee goes to that Follow Me, so everything is going to that, which means it's a bit of a wishy-washy situation. Sleep Powder does miss, though. Now it's going to be a bit scary as the Max Geyser finally comes out into what was going to be, I assume, that Charizard, as it does knock out the Indeedee, though, because of that rain boost and because of how powerful it is with that Lustrious Orb. So a Pokemon down. Is it a Pokemon down for good measure as Hurricane comes through? Does it get a knockout? Executor just hangs on. Will we see confusion? No, there is no confusion. Citrus Berry props, and this could mean it is Harvest Executor to get that berry back later down the line.
Yeah, I noticed there was no frisk on that Executor, so we do notice the Harvest, and yeah, the Harvest immediately activates as well, so 50% extra health with no cost of turn for Executor, so it may even be able to just take another Hurricane from Charizard, which is just awesome to see. So Charizard being a defensive piece here is actually kind of like paying off, as you said. It does have that Lumberry, which you mentioned, Connor, so it is able to take another hit, but there is still another turn of Trick Room to go. Kyogre is the switch in now. Drizzle sets it up so the Hurricanes become 100% accurate to hit again, but this time Palkia does not have its Dynamax, and that means it's not 100% accurate. So unless it's going for the Earth Power, which is not going to do too much. So as we see, Trick Room is the last turn here, and this time FA cannot really afford to go for the double Trick Room play based on how low the Palkia's health is.
Yeah, it's going to be coming down to if that, the Hydro Pump hits. The annoying Palkia only gets Hydro Pump by a couple other Pokemon, which you really think should have that schooled or something else. If the Wood Hammer comes out, though, you should grab this Kyogre. It lives on 8 HP, though, and it takes all that recoil, possibly putting it back into Harvest Rain. Spatial Rend, though, going for that double up, going to the Charizard, not risking those misses from Hydro Pump. Still grabs the knockout. If Kyogre wakes up, it's going to be a nice Ice Beam into Executor. It's not. We could see another nice little Trick Room come out. His Harvest is her activate. That is another bit of healing on Executor. Executor's to have a nice little loop. We're going to see if maybe the knockout can come from the Calyrex. If not, FA could just go for Trick Room again with the Executor if it lives. So a lot of things biting on. Will the Kyogre wake up? Will the knockout happen? It's just so scary. Victor's probably on the edge of his seat at this moment in the game because so many different, rolls of luck can come along. And FA, again, probably on the edge of their seat, thinking, I've got the Pokemon in the back to win the game. I've just got to get those sleep turns. So, David, luck is going to come into hand. And I think commentators got something we shouldn't really be bringing up again and again this match. But it's just one of those hacks-filled, luck-filled games that we love to see in Pokemon.
Well, now Trick Room's expired. Victor is in a prime position to just enable his Calyrex Shadow here. So what was looking like quite like a precarious position is now looking pretty good for him. Executor is actually still going to live the hit here. So can Kyogre wake up in time to be able to deal with this Executor, or this Executor to get another KO or something else to sleep? Oh, I think that is maybe the third turn of sleep for Kyogre, which is unfortunate. And so Trick Room is going up once again for FA. So he's able to get in his Calyrex Ice, which is actually still in the back, and then potentially close out this game now. So it's looking what was a really pivotal turn there, as it just seemed to go straight into the corner of FA with his 5 Trick Room Pokemon team, and it's really paying off because as we've seen, as soon as Trick Room is expiring, he always has something on the board to set it back up again.
That is so powerful for teams in this format, whereas a lot of fast-paced teams and also a lot of opposing Trick Room teams. So you always have that back and forth of if you're the slower Trick Room team, you can just reset Trick Room. If you're the faster Trick Room team, you have it there to be sat there in the Trick Room. Victor having to really rely on misses and wake-ups here, but Calyrex looking at these Pokemon is going to just sit there and be like, I can click Glacial Lance. If you get a Protect, then that's a turn later I can click Glacial Lance. We can see a nice double up into the Calyrex just to try and guarantee things. It's a scary situation. Wood Hammer comes out, going into the Shadow Calyrex, a lot of damage. Of course, for the sacrifice of getting knocked out, but I think Calyrex Ice can take this. And if we see FA take a nice win on Turkey's debut stream for the Victory World Cup, that is going to be absolutely amazing. The Glacial Lance is coming on out here. Both these Pokemon very weak defensively, and FA takes it. Me and Turkey do get that victory and go ahead of Sweden, at least in this game. But to see how the rest of the week takes them.
We definitely will, Connor. So yeah, FA of Turkey takes the win for his country there. So that puts Turkey 2-2 now versus Sweden, currently in the week 1 of the World Cup. So a very key win too, and potentially a meta-breaking one as well. I'm very proud to have just been witnessed the very start of it, because I'm going to be trying Executor Alone form a lot now.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have a little peek of it too. I know I've got a fair few friends in the VC community which are very good at these creative teams, so I can always ask them to see, hey, this Pokemon did well for Turkey, can it do well for us? Maybe Ireland could take it, being the green country, like our grass types. So we'll have to see if we can mix some things up there. But FA just showing straight away that these Pokemon were 4 times weaknesses, especially to some of the most powerful Pokemon in the meta game, can still take that step ahead and just sit there and click Trick Room over and over again. And Harvest as well makes it such a nice Pokemon to sit there, proc your berry, you get it. Harvest boosts, and you go all the way back to pretty much 75% sometimes even full HP, which can be really scary if you can't take it out the first time.
Yeah, and it's a 50% chance to activate each turn. So like it kind of activated at the exact right time as well. So to be able to like heal up that Executor just like consistently. It's only in the sun that it activates 100% of the time. So like everything just kind of like fell into place there. You could say like it was kind of justice for like the critical hit on the Palkia. So it had such low health, but as we saw, he just Dynamaxed it at such low health, and it just did so much work too. We had the Max Geyser, the special defense boost, which then given to the Executor, allowed it to like live the Hurricane from the Charizard. So it was a really well pieced together team, and like matchup wise, being able to just boost up special defense, that's the only boost you needed to be able to take pretty much all the hits from Victor's team.
Yeah, and taking hits is just an amazing thing that you can do in Pokemon. And it's just, it's going to slow down your opponent's team. It could possibly speed up yours. And in those Trick Room teams, taking hits means that your bulky Pokemon will take lots and lots of damage. And that is something we love to see in this game because, it shows that you can draw out games and have a bit of fun. And whilst our players are having fun, I think it's time for us to have a bit of fun, have a breather. We'll be right back after a short break with more World Cup content.